Hello everyone and welcome back to the Cyclocross Social podcast. Today we will be taking a look ahead at the Superprestige in Boom. I'm joined by Twan.
Hello.
And Tom.
Hello everyone.
As I said, we are going to be taking a look ahead at the Superprestige in Boom, which is already the 5th round of the Superprestige, which means we are now officially over halfway there. Superprestige in Boom is the 5th out of 8 rounds, so the Superprestige classification is really forming itself. We'll be taking a look at that a bit later in this podcast. But first, Twan, tell us something about the parkour.
The parkour is on the Tomorrowland place where they have the festival. It is quite a fast parkour, provided that it will be dry. There is some nice technical sections in there, sand sections as well. And it should really be one for the more power riders, I think.
As always, the weather plays a big role in cyclocross. Tom, at the moment it's raining. What's the forecast for this Sunday?
Indeed, we've had quite a bit of precipitation this week here in Belgium, but it's forecast overcast, cloudy, no rain forecast on Sunday, but you never know in Belgium, of course. And we can expect some mud, perhaps, I think. We've often had mud on this circuit, and the ground is pretty soft at the moment, so I think it could be some nice conditions for racing. Although a bit cold, I have to add. Between 2 and 3 degrees is forecast, so that could play a part for some of the riders, you know.
Antoine, if we look back to last year, I think it was a decent amount of mud on the course as well. It was slippery, right?
I think it was a little. I remember last year the race being quite a bit earlier in the calendar as well, and I think it was a bit. I think it still was quite fast. I think in the women's you really saw that with Artsufi doing well. That's what I'm basing this on mostly. So yeah, I think last year was quite fast, maybe a bit slippery indeed.
Yeah, there was just about one descent, the really tricky downhill in the bowl, and then that was pretty muddy. You had to do a dismount and pretty slippy there, but not deep mud. So yeah, it was a bit of a technical challenge, that one, but the rest of the course was a bit faster.
Like Tom said, that top layer was slippery, and the layer below that was a bit harder, so there was still decent traction, but the slippery top layer made it tricky conditions, and I expect something similar here this weekend. So who do you guys expect in the men's race on a parkour like this?
Oh, well, I think we've had quite a few of these muddier races in the last few weeks now. The riders will be being a bit more adapted to the conditions, especially after Merckxplas. And I think we can see Van Aert carry on his winning streak, you know, after the win in Merckxplas, win in Tabor. I think he could be going for another.
Yeah, I think someone like Van Aert should definitely be up there in Boom. I think we can expect the usual people. Maybe this is a bit more of a parkour for Pidcock than Tabor might have been. So maybe expect him in the battle somewhere.
I definitely expect Paul Sousa to be in the front with numerous riders once again. And I think this is something for Iserby as well. What do you guys think? Because Iserby, he likes these short, punchy hills, bit of mud, bit of running. Super all-round is the capabilities of Iserby, and this parkour, it really has everything as well. Do you guys see him maybe beat Van Aert this week?
I think it could be a good possibility, you know. He looked strong last weekend again. And in the Superprestige this year, 3 seconds and a first, you know, he's been really consistent in the series. And yeah, I think he could, like you said, a bit of everything. He's a really good all-round rider. Although the colder conditions, we have to go back to Namur last year, remember? Maybe he's not as big a fan in the colder conditions, so that could play a part.
That's definitely a fair point. Although I do think that Iserby is definitely one we should. He's a force to be reckoned with this weekend. But on the other hand, he also leads the general classification here. So I think he will be focusing on Toon Aerts. Aerts is at this moment 3 points behind. So Iserby really needs to keep an eye out on Aerts. And I think that could then benefit the teammates of Iserby, Van Toornout and Zweek, because Iserby will be focusing on Aerts, and then Zweek and Van Toornout, maybe they can take profit of that. That Aerts and Iserby are looking at each other, and then these two can maybe get up the road.
Certainly, I would agree. I would agree on that one. You know, a 3 point lead to Aerts is definitely closable within a round. You know, halfway through the series of 8 rounds, 4 down, 3 points is really nip and tuck. But yeah, when we look to the likes of Van Toornout, 12 points behind Iserby. Yes, one bad race could kind of ruin Iserby's lead in the classification, but I think he'll really be looking to Aerts in this one.
Yeah, I think especially after some lesser performances on the part of Laurens Zweek, I don't expect him to do quite as well. Maybe a bounce back performance, but I don't quite see it happening. So indeed, Eli should be watching out for Toon Aerts the most, as 3 points is not a lot.
Especially in the Superprestige, where one bad race can really ruin it. If Iserby finishes 5th and Aert wins, well, Aerts leads by, 2 points then? I mean, it's nothing new. The Superprestige is really the classification where you need to be consistent, and you really can't afford to have one bad race, which perhaps you could be able to anticipate on a bad race in the DVV Trophy, as it's on time. Just be sure to gain some time on the Koppenberg, and then you can afford a loss in Baal. But here, if you mug up here in Boom and finish 5th or 6th or 10th, I mean, your classification is over.
Yeah, I think we saw that in the 2017-2018 season. It was Mathieu van der Poel that struggled here in Boom. I think he crashed. He still ended up winning the classification, but it certainly put him under a lot of pressure. A lot more than probably had wished for.
And then we of course have Wout van Aert and Tom Pidcock participating here. Let's first focus on Wout van Aert. Personally, I think Wout van Aert is going to be challenging for the win here. What do you guys expect?
Well, 2 third places in the opening weekend. I don't think he can be complaining about that at all, to be honest. Boom will be another tough course physically. It's got some up and downs, and yeah, I think we can say he really rode a strong race in Tabor, closing down in the middle part of the race, really finding his rhythm nicely. And I think this could just be the course where if he can have a good first lap and be kind of up there and not lose too much in this fast opening, I think we could see him definitely in contention.
Yeah, I think this is one of those parcourses where you really have to watch out for Van Aert. Of course, already worked his way up into 19th in the classification, so he will be starting on the 2nd row, which is definitely a positive thing as well. And I think we can expect to see him up there for podium again. And if he has that good day and everything just goes right, then he might very well be able to win.
And then we have Tom Pidcock. He will be looking to get a better result than he had in Tabor. Although I think the 17th place in Tabor was not representative of the level he had. That crash really hurt him. But we already discussed that in the Tabor podcast. But what do you guys expect from Pidcock today? Or today, this weekend?
I think he'll be really looking to put that performance behind him of Tabor, you know, the crash and it seemed to fade a bit at the end, but yeah, he can. Last year he kicked off his season in Kruijbeek and Heaton with 7th and 13th, and then he turned it around in Boom with a 3rd. So yeah, he's shown he can do it on this course, and after some less good results, shall we say. So yeah, I think we can expect top 5 definitely. Whether he's right on his best shape just this moment, we'll have to see him a race really, but I think he'll certainly be back up there again this weekend.
First, I would like to know if you guys have any other names that you could see potentially challenging for the win of the podium, apart from the guys that we just discussed.
I don't think you can count out Lars Van Gaar again. I think he's shown some strong riding this year. 2nd last weekend in Kortrijk as well. fifth in Tabor. He's been consistently up there, and yeah, in the general classification, 11 points behind Iserby. Perhaps we'll see him being given a bit of a free ride if Iserby's looking at aerts. Maybe we'll give Van Gaar a chance to slip away.
I think we have about covered all the biggest names, and Van der Haar indeed, one of those guys that you have to keep a slight eye on.
And we should keep an eye out on Felipe Orts. He didn't race in Tabor. He crashed in Kortrijk, but in the Merckx Plus he got a decent result. Let's hope that he can get another result here, close to a top 5. He got 7th in the Merckx Plus. Maybe improvement now, 6th or 5th. It would be good for him.
Yeah, I would love to see such a performance from him again. Another name that I would like to see this weekend do well in Boom is Joris Nieuwenhuis. He will be returning to the field, and it will be very interesting to see what he can do after a very promising road campaign.
Let's then make some predictions for who we think are going to be able to win here this race. I mean, Nieuwenhuis, I don't expect him to be here for the win, but who do you guys think?
Ooh, it's a tough one. Again, a really open race. But I think I'm going to go with a man on form in this moment, and Michael Van Twan out again.
I think that's a very good pick as well. Then I would like to go with Wout van Aert. Hopefully he can take his first win of the cyclocross season.
And then I will go with European champion Eli Iserby. With that said, I think we can now go on to discuss the women's race. Last year here in Boom, it was the last time that in a Belgian UCI race there were no Dutch women on the podium. We had an Italian 1-2, if you remember back. Arzoufi in front of Lechner, and then Sanne Kant got third. Arzoufi, she isn't having the best season so far. Lechner, she won't be here because she has an injury. She crashed in the start in Tabor and has injuries to both knees. She will be undergoing medical exams this week, so we wish her the best. She said she would be out for a pretty long time, so that's not good. Sanne Kant is having a rough season so far. But Tom, with these three not here, who do you expect to be the leading woman? I mean, we've seen it the last weeks, but who do you expect on this parkour?
Well, like you said, I think it's going to be the Dutch podium lockout once again. I don't think you can count Sanne Kant out. You know, she's proven herself podium last year here, beating all the Dutch here, and the fifth in Merckx Plus 2 weekends ago. So she has shown some signs of improvement over the year. But yeah, I think it's going to be the standard Alvarado, Wurst, and Brand, of course, you know, the woman on form with 3 wins in a row now and winning in the last 2 rounds of the Superprestige as well.
To get in on what you said about Kant, I think you're right. Last year we saw here a parkour that was mixed, mud and fast sections, and I think we can expect the same with the current weather forecast. Kant, she likes these heavier parkourses. We saw it in the Merckx Plus. It wasn't the fastest race. We saw it earlier in Niel, which was also a tough course where Kant did good. So I think it's fair what you said. Kant can definitely challenge here for a top 5, and maybe, just maybe, you never know with Kant. Maybe all of a sudden she's able to compete for a podium. Last year we didn't expect the result either. But if you remember back to last year as well, you had Jara Kastelein who was leading and then made an unfortunate crash while she was leading. Do you expect anything of Kastelein, or do you really think it's going to be Vorst, Alvarado, Brandt and Betsema?
Yeah, well, Kastelein's not quite been on the form of last year, with taking the European title last year, of course. And yeah, I think it is going to be the worst, and Alvarado, and of course Denise Betsema as well, you can't forget. I think this technical course with a few kind of bigger technical features, like the downhill we previously mentioned into the sharp corner, which is often pretty slippy, and we've got 2 passages of the sand section, could again play into the hands of the Alvarado's competitors. Really, we've seen her make quite a few mistakes over the last few weekends, and could kind of be these decisive features if the confidence just isn't quite there, I think, yeah, this could be another one for Brand and Denise Betsema to really ride away with a 1-2 in the last lap.
Twan, what do you think? With these technical sections Tom just mentioned, the women you think would have the best technique are Alvarado and Vorst. Of course, Alvarado's made those mistakes, but I think Vorst and Alvarado in cornering, and they have the best technique, and with the mud, cornering becomes more and more important. What do you think?
I agree that becomes more and more important. I think Brandt has shown this so far this season that she is simply exceptional, especially last week in Tabor. It was very impressive what she did, and I don't think we can underestimate it. I think she's going to keep on continuing this line of form, and it will be a very scary couple of weeks here in the women's cyclocross.
I think Brandt and potentially you could have Alvarado to that as well, do have the upper hand slightly over the likes of Betsema and Vorst, but in the women's cyclocross, this could flick every week. So potentially Brandt is now, of course, she's in great form, but maybe Vorst will be able to bounce back. She hasn't had the best couple of races, not the most of luck either. Remember puncturing Kortrijk. Do you think that then Vorst will be able to bounce back here?
I think Vorst will definitely be able to battle for a podium spot. I think we'll see her around the chasing group, probably with Betsema, around Alvarado as well, and some people that might be able to join.
Indeed, I think Amory Wurst is kind of due one of these good races now, and yeah, I think this could be one for her.
And don't forget, in the standings, Alvarado and Brandt, they're just separated by a single point here. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Vorst is third and she's 6 points behind, so that's already getting a bit harder. But if Vorst still wants to be a part of the fight for the win in the overall Superprestige, this is really the moment to go, because after this, there's just 3 races left. So there's really not much time left after this to still get a chunk of points back. So it's already hard for Vorst. She really needs that good performance now.
I think if Vorst wants to win the overall, she's basically going to need 4 wins here, or at least I think at least 2 and then 2 second places. It is really hard to see Alvarado and Brandt drop behind the podium, especially both of them. They have been solid all season, and I don't really see any signs of them significantly weakening toward the end of this classification.
Another name I would like to put forward is Manon Bakker. She always loves these muddy parcourses. Do you think that she could potentially be in the front here?
I think she shouldn't be counted out. I think potentially a top 5. I don't see her kind of reaching the podium this year. In just still a young rider, of course, only 21 years of age, and yeah, but 2 7ths in her last 2 races in Kortrijk and Merckxplas, a 5th in Leuven. So she's actually nicely consistently in the last few weekends been up there as kind of one of the leading under 23 riders, and yeah, I think top 5 could be potential for her.
Are there any other names we still want to put forward or discuss? Because I think we've had the main ones.
Indeed, I think I would agree with you on that one. I think it's generally going to be the battle of the Dutch for the top 5 again in this one. Also, Fem van Empel did a solid performance last week in Kortrijk with 5th place, and having not raced the double weekend, not making the trip to Tabor, perhaps she could have some fresher legs when the competition, and yeah, she could be another outsider.
Yeah, and looking at Tabor, Peters and Vash, they might be able to do something. Although I'm not entirely sure that Vash will be starting, because there isn't a start list available, so that's why I didn't really mention her. But if she's racing, she's definitely a force to be reckoned with. But with that said, I think we can be able to make some picks. Who is going to win here in Boom?
I think it's your turn to take the lead on this one, Noah.
Well, I am going to go with the reigning world champion Celine del Carmen Alvarado.
Then I'll be going with the woman on form, Chanel.
Indeed, I think I would. I think I struggle to look past the win being for Brand, but I will go for Denise Betsema after her really strong performance in the last round, kind of chasing all the way down from that bad start in Merckxplas. I think, yeah, this could be her first win of the season in the Superprestige.
Well, with that said, I think we've had it all for this podcast. Tom and Twan, thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much.
And then I'm going to round off this episode of the Cyclocross Social podcast. If you're wondering where you can watch the cyclocross in Boom, make sure to check cyclocross.social.com, and there you can find where to watch under the tab live. I hope you guys all enjoyed this podcast, and we will be back on Monday with a podcast for you about the Superprestige in Boom. Goodbye.